Hey guys, welcome to my Ozzy versus Dio video. That's right, Ozzy Osbourne versus Ronnie James Dio. I figured I would take a short break from the review marathon of popular horror franchises and make a music-related video. So before I get to the Nightmare on Elm Street series, or the remainder of it, that is, has already viewed the first three, we're going to look at two of the most iconic metal frontmen in music history. I figured this might make for a fun discussion. I don't know it's done to death, you know, it's been done before, and like there are a lot of debates as to which one's better. You know, the fact that they're both in Black Sabbath leads to a lot of comparison discussions and contrasts and stuff, but I always thought it was kind of an interesting subject. But before I begin, two things. Number one, I'm not going to declare a winner at the end, like Ozzy's the winner or Dio is the winner. No, they both win, obviously. I'm just going to, kind of talk about both of them. And number two, I don't want to create some kind of war in the comments about one being way better than the other, or one of them sucks, or, anything like that. They're both great in their own way. And we're going to analyze their strengths and weaknesses. Not that there are really many weaknesses, if any at all, but just, which one is better at what exactly. Who is a better singer overall, who is a better fit for Black Sabbath, who is a better songwriter, who is better stage presence, showmanship, and frontman skills, who is a cooler personality, et cetera, et cetera. And again, both of them are legends. Both of them are very important to heavy metal. I idolize them both. They're two of my biggest heroes. It's a shame that Ronnie is no longer with us. He was a god amongst men. Rest in peace. You'll never be forgotten, Ronnie. You were a huge part of my life as a music fan and as a metalhead. Alright, well, let's look at sheer talent alone. Just their singing ability, vocal range. Who has the better voice? Not which one sounds better for Black Sabbath, which we'll get to eventually. Alright, just voice alone. Let's look at Mr. Osbourne first. Now, I think everybody knows he doesn't really have a wide vocal range, and his voice is kind of like nasally, kind of whiny at times, kind of a nasally drone. He doesn't really hit very high notes or anything like that. But that said, I love his voice. It's so unique. Nobody else sounds like Ozzy. That eerie and ominous voice he has perfectly sets the gloomy atmosphere for those early Sabbath tunes, which give you a sense of like lingering doom and dread. Just so dreary and grim, and so bleak. It's just perfect. His voice is witches gathering in a coven and slave girls taken before an altar, a sacrificial altar, and like a group of witchcraft practitioners performing a ritual in a cemetery at night. And I love that sort of thing, obviously. So, and some people often forget that Ozzy could really sing when he wanted to, and his voice has moved me quite a bit at times. Like those soft and woeful vocals in the Sabbath song Solitude from Master Reality. Wow, so emotional and heartfelt. Damn, Ozzy, he was perfect for that type of thing. I kind of wish he sang like that more. But yeah, I think, his performance really shined over the years. I think his best vocal work might have been Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, that album. He actually did kind of hold some notes really long, and he sounded like he'd been really practicing a lot, and he really worked hard with that album. So yeah, that was probably, one of his best performances. Probably one of the pinnacles of his singing. He kind of expanded his range and branched out over the years, especially when he reached his solo career too. But I have to say, when it comes to voice alone, I'm sorry, but Dio blows Ozzy out of the water. Damn, his range is incredible. For such a small guy, he had a truly powerful and awesome voice. His top-notch vocals never cease to amaze me, and he always gave his all. Sucks he's not here to grace us with his amazing singing anymore, but his legacy will never die. He'll never be forgotten. And I feel like Ozzy kind of lost a bit of steam over the years in his singing, whereas Dio is still going strong. Compare, The Devil You Know to the Black Sabbath album 13. Both are great, but I think Dio's performance is just a little more incredible. I think it was a lot better. He could still sing to the day he died. He always just worked really hard. I guess it helps that Dio is my second favorite vocalist of all time, next to Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Whereas Ozzy, honestly, probably wouldn't even crack my top 20 when it comes to singing alone. However, when it comes to frontmen and stage shows, Ozzy would be among the very top, for sure. So yeah, they definitely had their strong points. So yeah, the winner for voice alone has to be Dio. And as much as I love and respect the Prince of Darkness, Ronnie James could probably sing rings around him. Sorry to say, but that doesn't. That's not. I'm not demeaning Ozzy by any means. I'm not. I'm not saying anything bad about Ozzy. I still love you, Ozzy. Just talking about voice alone. I think even Ozzy himself might even agree with that. To be honest, he has mentioned several times that Dio is a great singer. Yeah, now, as for who's a better songwriter, Dio's gonna have to win again because, truth be told, Ozzy didn't have much to do with the songwriting. If you didn't already know, Geezer Butler wrote about 90% of the lyrics in Sabbath, while Ozzy contributed a word every now and then, and did contribute a lot of ideas. He wasn't all that prevalent in the songwriting process. But he did come up with ideas, as I said, like Iron Man. He wanted a song called Iron Man. I think he had like the story as well. Geezer's just the one that put it to words and made it rhyme and everything. So yeah, Ozzy did have Sabbath wouldn't have been the same without Ozzy. Don't get me wrong. They could have just got another singer singing Geezer's lyrics. It wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been as awesome. It wouldn't be my favorite band. So yeah. I think Ozzy probably did write a lot more when he had his own band, but even he admitted that it was mostly someone like Bob Daisley or Zakk Wylde that wrote the majority of the lyrics. Ozzy often did come up with great vocal melodies, though. And on a lot of Sabbath songs, these tunes that he created, they might follow along with the guitar riffs a whole lot. They have like the exact same melody, but there were plenty of times where this was not the case. He did have a lot of great ideas, and I know he did write certain songs. Certain tunes were composed himself, such as Junior's Eyes and Who Are You, among others. But Dio, however, he always wrote his own lyrics, every single word, and he wrote a great deal of the music too. The guitar and drums, Plus he played keyboards for a solo project, and used to play bass guitar back in the early days of Elf, and the various other bands that came before Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. He was also classically trained at playing the trumpet, which helped him become an even greater vocalist. In the long run, from learning the proper breathing techniques and stuff. So he has played instruments before, which makes me have even more respect for him. But don't forget that Ozzy played the harmonica on the song "The Wizard" from their self-titled debut album. It is one of the coolest things I've ever heard. What amazing harp playing! I think he brought it out again a few times during his solo career over the years, and also contributed a groovy harmonica solo on one of Alice Cooper's newest albums, which is awesome. So yeah, Ozzy could really play a mean harmonica, so that was awesome. Alright, so yeah, if Dio wins on both voice talent and songwriting so far, you're probably wondering if this video is secretly Dio worship in disguise, but by no means. I think Ozzy might have a great stage presence, and might put on a much better and more entertaining show. I've seen Ozzy in concert twice, once with Sabbath and once by himself, and both times I couldn't take my eyes off this crazy and wildly energetic man on the stage. He just had such huge presence and charisma, and it's unmatched by many. Now don't get me wrong, Dio was quite the showman as well, but I think I might have to give this one to Ozzy. He slightly gets the edge here, whose stage presence was much more theatrical, elaborate, and overall more memorable. He bit the head off of a bat, everybody knows. He dressed up as a vampire, had zombies dancing around the stage, had fire and blood, and, and it just was it's just so infectious. Even watching a DVD of him perform, it just makes me want to rock out so much. It just gets me pumped, There's very little that Ozzy hasn't done, And he seemed really cool in real life, too. Constantly doing wild and, daring things and putting his life at risk just to entertain his fans, it's a miracle he's still alive with all the crazy stunts he did, not to mention all the various drugs and alcohol. Dio played it a little more safe and, maybe wasn't quite as cool as the Ozman. However, Ronnie was far more intelligent and down to earth. I love watching him talk in interviews. He seems very genuine and a very honest person. He never held back when it came to his ex-bandmates. He just let them have it whenever he was angry at somebody, which I kind of appreciate. Ozzy is a little more hard to understand when he talks, and it's not just the English accent. His constant slurring and drunken, stoned speech being kind of hard to comprehend at times. But he's got better over the years. I can kind of understand him more now. You know, he's been sober for a while now, and poor guy shakes. He's got all kind of health issues. God bless Ozzy. He's just been through so much. He's put his body through hell just for us. Just for his fans. So you got to respect that. He's really funny too. He's hilarious in interviews. He just seems like a really cool dude that you can have a couple beers with, or maybe more than a couple in his case. But nah, he's sober now. But all right, now for the fun part. Who is a better fit for Black Sabbath, my favorite band? Well, this is hard because both eras are so different. The Ozzy years, as I said, were more gloomy and doom-ridden, whereas the Dio Sabbath was more energetic and upbeat. Also sounded a lot more 80s, obviously seeing as the time period it was in. But Ozzy has more material to choose from, with now 9 studio albums of the band, while Dio only has 4, including the more recent The Devil You Know, under the Heaven and Hell moniker. And Ozzy has 9 now with 13, which came out a few years ago, which is the first studio album he recorded the band since like 1978 or 79, so wow. I'm really glad they made that album. It didn't blow me away, but I'm still glad that it was there. I'm still glad they made a comeback album. It's a nice little reunion. So, there are a lot more Ozzy there are probably a lot more great Ozzy Sabbath songs than there are Dio songs, only because there are more Ozzy Sabbath songs to choose from. There are more in general. But Dio's powerful voice gave for some truly awesome and remarkable music. Tony Iommi discovered all kinds of things on guitar that he didn't know he could do when Dio was in the band, and even said himself that Ozzy may have limited them a bit. He may have held them back a little bit, nothing against Ozzy, but even they agreed on that. But still, though, I don't think anything can compare to albums like Paranoid, Master Reality, and Sabotage. I mean, they're my favorite band for good reason. But on the other hand, the Dio Sabbath has several incredible songs as well. Dio breathed new life into the band, and because after their last 2 albums of Ozzy, Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, they were mostly mediocre. And then of course Ozzy teamed up with Randy Rhoads and embarked on his successful solo career. So it was the best thing for everybody. But yeah, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, and Dehumanizer are all amazing albums, though, man. Like, Dio never did anything that wasn't remarkable with the band. But then again, his time with them wasn't as lengthy as The Prince of Darkness. So, he didn't have time to make any bad albums. Not that he, probably ever would. And I also love his work with Rainbow. Those 3 albums he sang on before leaving to join Sabbath were breathtaking. And he sang the Ozzy-era songs pretty well, too, during his time in Sabbath. Although I think he did try to make them his own a little too much, and it wasn't always the same, as when Ozzy sang them. And he kind of sang them a little too differently. When he was certainly capable of probably singing them just as good. And, Ozzy never even attempted to sing one of the Dio Sabbath songs. But I think we all know he probably couldn't handle that, Again, nothing against Ozzy, just, he doesn't have the powerful range that, the master of metal had. But, now I will say that Dio is the much better singer. I think I slightly prefer Ozzy's solo career to the Dio band, the band of Dio, the group. I mean, so many classic albums and songs, and he always surrounded himself with great musicians like the legendary Randy Rhoads, J.K. Lee, Zakk Wylde. Dio has awesome albums too. I mean, Holy Diver, Last in Line, Sacred Heart, Dream Evil. But I feel like they weren't as consistently brilliant as the Ozzy Osbourne band most of the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing, the Dio band at all. And putting Blizzard of Oz against Holy Diver is a tough one. I don't think I could decide between those two because they're both incredible. Sorry. Both of them have done amazing things in their music, and both are iconic legends in their own way. Both have done a great deal for the world of heavy metal. We have Ozfest, thanks to Ozzy, which introduced some great bands. There were a few mediocre bands that came from it as well. And the Hearing Aid Benefit Festival, raising money and stuff, couldn't have been possible without Dio. And sure, there are things that both have done that weren't all that remarkable, like the Osbournes reality show, and Dio having a reputation for being hard to work with at times, and often leaving great bands and great lineups when things didn't go his way. I guess he was a bit of a control freak that way. But then again, the man knew what he was doing. Maybe they should have just let him be in charge. Maybe they should have just said, "Okay, you're the boss. Let's do what you say." He knew what he was doing. Shit, he's extremely competent. But still, they both rock, and they both have an untouchable legacy that is unmatched by most. From Ozzy's wildly entertaining and unforgettable legacy, I'm sorry, yeah, Ozzy's entertaining and highly unforgettable stage antics. His on-stage performance, which is his strong point, to Dio's powerfully compelling, godlike range that's second to almost none. So yeah, when it comes down to it, the winner, of course, is Tony Martin. No, I'm kidding. No, he's awesome though. He's awesome. Definitely check out Tony's material with Sabbath too. Tony Martin's great. But in conclusion, no. All jokes aside, both Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio win in my book. Long live the Prince of Darkness and the Master of Metal. Magic. So yeah, both were great in Sabbath. Both were great in all the bands they're in. Dio was great in Rainbow as well. I love Dio's solo career. So many great albums, great album after album. And Ozzy's solo career, Blizzard of Oz, and Bark at the Moon, and Diary of a Madman, and oh man, The Ultimate Sin. Just so many great albums. Both had their low points, but both had really, really strong high points. So. Again, I can't choose which one's better, and unless you're just talking about like certain things like voice or stage presence. But overall, when it just comes to down to them as icons, them as legends, I don't think it could be done. It just depends on your preference. I slightly prefer certain things about both of them. So yeah, both Ozzy and Dio, two of the best and most important people in metal to ever live. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this little discussion, and again, it wasn't really Ozzy versus Dio, nobody was going to win, it wasn't a contest. I just talked about what they were both good at, and why I loved both of them, why they're such a hugely influential and inspirational part of the metal mythos, why they're so great, why there's all things they contributed to the genre. I hope this is a nice little break from all the various mainstream horror franchises that I've been doing. But next we're getting to Nightmare on Elm Street. I hope you enjoyed this little break, this little brief interlude, this little intermission, talking about Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio. So let me know what you think of these two metal geniuses, these two godlike idols in the comments below, and which one do you prefer, and which one do you think, which ones do you think, what are their strong points, what are their weak points, what are they better at or not better at? You tell me now. I talked enough, so I want to hear from you. Alright guys, until next time, then we'll finally get to Nightmare on Elm Street. Alright, peace, and keep it metal.